Welcome to the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. Voices for Voices is the #1 ranked podcast and TV show where people turn to for expert mental health, recovery, and career advancement intelligence. Our Voices for Voices show is all about teaching you insanely actionable techniques to help you prosper, grow yourself and self-worth, and personal brand. So if you are a high achiever or someone who wants more out of life, whether mentally, physically, or spiritually, please make sure to subscribe to our TV show and podcast right now. As you can see, the Voices for Voices show publishes episodes that focus on case studies, real-life examples, actionable tips, and in the trenches reports and interviews from subscribers just like you. So if that sounds like something that could help you grow personally or professionally, then why don't you join me in our organization by subscribing so we can help as many people as possible. So today's show, we have quite a few topics to talk about. It's exciting as an organization when we do planning. So we plan for different events, different milestones that we want to reach, and sometimes that takes time. And one of those is being recognized by the United States Patent and Trade Office as having Voices for Voices being a registered mark, which means we're able to put the R in the circle around it after Voices for Voices. And so that does a couple of things. One, it helps us become more legit, for a lack of a better way of speaking about things, because it does cost a bit of money to do. And if we're not really bought into an organization, we really wouldn't go forward with that. So this is something that took almost 2 years from the inception of filling out the application, working with attorneys, going back and forth with the government attorneys, and so just yesterday, actually, we got that actual designation, and so we are thrilled to be able to have this. And so what else it does besides being having an organization be more legit, more firm. I talk about having Voices for Voices being a 100-year organization and wanting to be around, not be a fly-by-night kind of organization. And one of the ways that this particular designation helps is with search rankings. So if you are to go to Google or Bing or other search engines and type Voices for Voices, we as an organization, our information, so our website, our content should start populating much higher than what it had been. And that's a little bit of a misnomer that I had to learn many years back teaching at Walsh University with digital marketing, is just because you may have a brand that is your name, your organization name, and you have content out on the net, whether through social media, whether it is an interview you did, a podcast. Just because you have that does not mean that when you or another individual goes to search for the name of your organization, the name of you, does not mean that that is automatically going to rise to the top. And as we know, very few of us scroll past page 1 of search results. So it is very important as an organization, as an individual growing a personal brand, to have your and ours, in this case, our Voices for Voices material to come up as high as possible, so we don't have to rely on individuals scrolling down 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 pages. So that is one of the key things, and that's something that it's hard to really quantify. I mean, you can quantify donations and sales that way, but it's one of those things that you really won't be able to measure that except over time, as more visits to the website, more followers, more people having an interest in engaging with you and your organization. So that is something that was big for us, and so Catherine Kelly Vidal is the director of the United States Patent and Trade Office. So she signed off on our registration. Another interesting area is when you and I hear the word trademark and then registration, what I first thought was kind of at the beginning stages several years back, is an organization that if you're, you would be registered first, right? So you're going to register for car insurance, for driver's license, and you can register for my daughter's soccer program or ballet or those types of things. But that's not the case when it comes to, we talk about patent and trademark, whereas the TM for trademark, you can actually use that on day one. And so you'll see logos and names of organizations that have that TM, meaning it's trademark. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they are registered with the Patent and Trade Office, which again, that's the more official way of going through things. And so you start as a trademark organization or brand, and then if you want to, then you can get to the spot where you want to be, registered. And so again, from a step one and a step two, step one would be a TM for trademark, and step two would be the R, the circle around it. So the last part on this topic is this also helps from a legal standpoint, where if an organization or an individual tries to impersonate our organization by putting faulty material or things that are not correct coming from our organization and misleading individuals, we're able, from the legal protections being registered with the United States Patent and Trade Office, that we're able to legally go after an individual. So that can hurt. Let's say you have a brand and the brand's worth $1 million, and an individual or an organization comes by and they try to, again, mislead customers, prospects, vendors, and that net worth or that brand equity that would be $1 million would be potentially reduced because they're taking what would be a high quality, high performing organization, and you'd be taking basically money away from it, of saying here's where we are at tip top shape, but then if negative events come out, then our value goes down. Positive events come up, our value goes up. So that's really how this comes about, and so we're very, very excited with being able to film our episode today. Is that literally we received this confirmation yesterday, and so wanted to put that in our show for today. Secondly, going along with the registration, one of the areas that we are fully protected against is puzzles, coloring, workshops, books, etc. And so what we decided to do was adult coloring books are and have been a thing, something that individuals, that you don't have to be a child growing up to want to color or the like. And I learned this through my therapy when I was kind of at the bottom end, was taking time to do things that can take that energy or stress away from the brain of like constantly thinking, I got to do this, I got to do this next, I got to do this third. And so naturally we started to think about what things could we start to offer to the community. And one of those areas is adult coloring pages. So at current state, we have 3 different adult coloring pages, everything, from I am safe, I am okay, I am at peace, ballerina, just very peaceful, and the sun and the trees, and holding a heart, and saying bravo, that we should take things that we do and celebrate those wins. A plus, an award, and so that's kind of the first one. The second one is variations. We have a little bit more, the music, so harmonica, a trumpet, an easel art, flowers, crayons, celebrating, love, doves, peace, and so that would be the second. And then our third is, celebrate voices. Everybody has a voice. Dream, inspiration, self-care. And so we have, love and the sign language interpretation, guitar, piano, flowers, drums, calm, butterflies, wheelchair, hug. And so we thought that would be an area that would be of interest to some individuals, and we've had great feedback on that. And so right now we do have 3 pages available on our website, and we're going to be growing that. So if you or somebody is interested, we have, with love, calm, and self-care in mind, we have 3 adult coloring pages. We'll bring you a stress-free activity into your home. So for the set of 3, we have that listed at $6.95, and you can reach that by headed to our voicesforvoices.org site, go to shop, and then you'll find that, or you can follow through this QR code that will take you directly to that spot. Okay, moving on. As many of you know, and if you're a new listener, a new viewer, I'm going through active mental health, mental illness recovery myself. So again, I'm not just a host, I'm going through that myself. And so this next area I wanted to cover for quite a bit of time, and now is a perfect time to cover that. When I speak and I talk to individuals, sometimes people will say, "Oh, well, you're doing good, or you're doing great, and things are easy for you, and you made it out of kind of the depths of the darkness." And what I try to respond to is, I am on an active recovery. There are days that are good. There are days that aren't as good. So there are days where the depression and kind of wanting just to hang out at the house and do very little as far as activity wise, that comes. And then also with that is medication. So obviously we're talking about the legal medication that for me and you possibly, a doctor, a psychiatrist in the specific tie to kind of mental health side of things, is being prescribed certain medications. You may have 1 prescription, you may have 3 or 4, but the number doesn't matter. So what I'm talking about here is, you notice, let's say you have one medication that you take every day, and you've been taking it for 6-7 years, every day, same dose, may have gone up and down at different times, and you realize you need a refill, right? So if you're like I am, I have to call my psychiatrist's office. If I'm not already going to be meeting with them in those 3 days, if I have three doses left, to have a refill sent into the pharmacy. And so I'm talking about, it could be, if it's a mail-away pharmacy, those are usually done at 90-day supplies, and the same process happens. But if you're at 3 days, to try to get a 90-day supply in 3 days is probably going to be tough. So you'd want to start that process a little bit sooner. So what I've run into, again, in my active recovery, say the last, I'm really starting to notice it the last year especially, is when it comes time to have that prescription refilled. So 3 days left, call my psychiatrist and have her call in a refill and a prescription, because it's a continuous one. And so it gets called in, and then I received that text message, and text message says, your provider has sent in a request for a refill for XYZ medication. We'll let you know when it's available for pickup. And then I received other texts that would say, we're currently out of this particular medication, or this particular dosage. So what I mean by that is, maybe you're taking, let's just say, 5 milligrams of a particular medication, and let's say that the pharmacy only has 2.5 milligram or 1 milligram doses or dosages. And so they're not going to be able to fill at what the doctor has prescribed. And so although, yeah, you could take 5 1 milligram doses to make 1 for the 5, or I guess talk about me and as an example, what a pharmacist is not able to do apparently is they're not able to fill it that way. So although it would make sense that, okay, if you're out, if say CVS is out of 5 milligram, but they have the 1 milligram, so yeah, they could do 5 per day times however many days, if it's a 30-day supply, just multiply that out. And so this can happen where, let's say, we can run out of medication on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Saturday, a Sunday, a holiday. Those things usually, life goes on. Things are, 24/7. If we're running out, we need a refill. And so I've been in a position where, those 3 days go by. In this case, the CVS, for me, says, well, we're out of it. We can't get you any more right now until we get another shipment in. Well, they don't know when the shipment's coming in. So here you are, or I am in this case, going, oh crap, what do I do? I've been taking this medication for 7 years. For me, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 6 months for you. And I'm not going to be able to get that refill in time. What am I going to do? So you take the condition that I'm already in with the depression, anxiety, etc., and that anxiety just skyrockets and that stress skyrockets because I'm like, how am I going to go a day without it? So an option that some pharmacists have, and some are more helpful than others, I'll just say it that way, is sometimes pharmacists are able to provide a day or two kind of get through doses to get through. Meaning, if the truck isn't going to come for 3 days and you need that prescription for those 3 days, the pharmacist might give a 3 days supply just to get you or I through to that point. So again, some pharmacists I've had that will do that, and others won't. And they'll say, nope, it has to come from the provider, and we don't have this specific dose in mind. And And so here is, somebody like me trying to just continue my care, trying to just keep things as simple as possible and kind of follow kind of the regimen I've been on. So again, that stress skyrockets. And it got so bad over Easter for me, this past Easter, where I had run out, and it's Easter Sunday, and I was like, well, what do I do? And so my CVS that I go to was out, but somehow, some way, they were able to go through the computer, and the CVS in a different location had the right amount and the right dosage. And so they being the pharmacy, was able to switch that prescription for that one time over to that second location. And so then I was able to pick up that prescription and not miss a day. So I'm going through this whole story, this 8-10 minute portion of this show to share that I still have to jump through hoops at times to get kind of what we need, what we feel has been working. And my provider, she's been great, where she'll make calls after hours to double check. She'll send a prescription in, and sometimes the pharmacy won't. Maybe they won't understand how the dosage is meant to be, and that's happened where there's been all this back and forth that I can't do anything about as an individual, that it's on the doctor level. And so when I talk about having a team, having family, friends, care, doctor, therapist, having those individuals on your side and on my side is very helpful, and it's crucial, because if I don't, then that one area could slip through the cracks for a day or two, and that may put me into a worse depression scenario, and we don't want that for anybody. So the moral of this story is to continue fighting for what you deserve. When you're talking with your doctors, if you feel they're not being your advocate, you're able to switch doctors, find a doctor, find a therapist that is your advocate, find a pharmacist, a pharmacy that will help in those times. I don't like having to ask for a 3-day supply or a 2-day supply, but again, it's not my fault either. The truck hasn't come in with that particular dosage amount. So think about that, and if you ever come into that situation, don't be afraid to ask to have that prescription or prescriptions for that one time that you need filled, to see if they're able to fill it at a different location. And that was a big lifesaver. Again, that was on Easter, and so some locations, some retail locations just aren't open, right? Different holidays come by, and so they're not open. And so take that upon yourself, have that courage, have that confidence in yourself. And again, those things still test me to this day. And so be your advocate, because nobody will be your advocate if they don't see that you're your own advocate. So by you and I just going forward, and if we need to speak to somebody, if medication is something that we need, just figuring out those things is helpful. And I know definitely for me, if I'm traveling, right, making sure I have enough for the days that I'm traveling. So if I go on a 4-day trip or a 3-day or a 2-week trip, I need to make sure that I have enough for those days, so I'm not going to run out in the middle of a trip if I'm outside of the country and be wondering if I'm going to be able to get a refill in, again, a foreign country that I'm not as comfortable in knowing of the actual the processes of getting a prescription there. And so I've run into that as well, where I'm running out, whereas I have a day or a week extra supply, but since I'm gonna be out of the country, I need a prescription filled earlier than what normal would be. And so that's where, again, having an advocate, your doctor, your psychiatrist, your family health provider, and your therapist can also can help in that regards. And so that's happened as well, where got my container, medication container for each of the days, and like, okay, well, I'm going to be gone 14 days. Let me get an extra day or two in case my flight gets canceled, I get stranded somewhere, and I need an extra day or two. So that's usually what I do. Is I usually add a couple days, just in case. Worst case scenario, I need that and I have it. Best case scenario, I come home and I have those medications already laid out for two additional days. And so there's a lot of planning that, again, we're not talking that it's very difficult in the sense that we got to do these big calculations, but we just need to think a little bit further in advance than what we may have before. So instead of just worrying, do I have enough for today? If I'm going on a trip for 14 days, I need to, let's say, have enough for 16 days. Again, in case flight gets canceled, bad weather happens, things outside of our control. And if you do those things, those are things that I've learned, over the last 7 years that can be helpful. So to recap this episode, Voices for Voices, we have been, and we're continuing to be a legit organization. We are registered officially with the United States Patent and Trade Office. So beyond the look, when you see our logo, you'll start, as time goes on, start seeing the R with the circle around it be more included with our logos and our branding materials. We, again, also have the adult coloring pages. We have, at this point, we have 3 for $6.95. You can head over to voicesforvoices.org, go over to the shop area of the top right of our landing page, and you'll be able to find that there, or you can scan this QR code that we're showing now and be an advocate for yourself. So until next time, I am your host, Justin Allen Hayes, founder and executive director of Voices for Voices, and please be a voice for you or somebody in need.